Um, this topic, or this talk, speech, whatever you want to call it, this is, I don't know, a lot of pride in doing this. I got contacted by Ed early in the year and asked if I would talk about veterans. Can I come to Miami and give a speech about welding and veterans? And I thought about it, and I thought, you know, first, I'm not a veteran. And I thought, you know, I'm not a veteran expert. But as long as we can talk about what we're doing as a school, then sure. And so we did it. And so this presentation is more about generating awareness. It's not necessarily to teach you anything in the classroom or the lab. But in our industry, when it talks about education, a lot of the drive conversation is about youth, high school students. Right? Get to the high school students early, try and talk to them at different career colleges and career fairs. But populating or feeding the welding industry because of the shortage, it's more than about youth. And one of the key components to helping the industry is our veterans that come home. So first off, there's a few more coming in. Is there any veterans in the room? All right, so first thing is to thank you all for your service. I'll be quite honest, when I learned about thanking veterans for their service, I thought it might have been a little embarrassing, you know? But as you get involved with them, earlier last year we did a project with a 9/11 artifact. We created a display case to preserve a piece of the North Tower that went down in New York. It just touches you. So now, when I see veterans, it's real natural, it's real easy to say thank you because you just know what they did. Like I said, I'm not a veteran. I've never been a veteran. My dad was in World War II. Didn't know him real well, but they're special. So thank you to you guys that have served. A little bit about the school. I work for Hobart Institute of Welding Technology, and video guy will try and stay in one spot. A little bit about us. We're located in Troy, Ohio. We are a career college. The only thing our school does is welding. That's it. We were founded in 1930 by Hobart brothers. The school is a not-for-profit. So really what that means is, doesn't mean a whole lot other than the money that the school makes. We have to reinvest it back into the business's mission. And the mission is education with the welding industry, and that's what we're about. So it is a trade school, current facility, 1958. We've had an expansion in 78. We just put on an expansion this year. They just put the welding booths in. We added about 7,000 square feet. We got about 52 more new welding booths. So that'll put our welding training capacity to a little over 300 welding stations. So we're pretty proud of what we got going on. The school is accredited, and just a few other numbers. I'm not going to elaborate. So when we started talking about veterans, we started looking, it started with a newspaper article, and that's really what started this thing. In the Dayton Daily News, there was an article that said, bleak job prospects greet returning veterans. In other words, veterans are coming and there's no jobs for these guys. A lot of them are unemployed. So there was a number, having a little bit of a sales and marketing background, there was a number in this article, and it said 8,000 of the 54,000 Iraq and Afghanistan veterans in the workforce, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, 8,000? My gosh, the salesman in me thinks, man, these guys are getting government dollars. I'm going to go drag these people in. You know, I want to fill my school with veterans. And it become way more. As you start talking to different groups, I thought, you know, where do you start? If I want to go out and reach veterans and tell them about our school, where do you start? So we started really investigating. First thing I thought about was I contacted the editor of the newspaper. And I said, hey, you got 8,000 veterans that are employed. Where are they at? Is the number real? And really what we found out, doing a lot of digging, is the number was extremely, extremely low. But this whole process, this whole mission of creating a veteran initiative, so to speak, it became more than just trying to bring a veteran into the school. This really became a new directive mission of the Institute, and it's been quite a journey. So what we did was I thought, okay, if I'm going to go and talk to these veterans, I better understand, from a good business guy, I better understand what's going on. So going out, and these numbers are in all different areas of the web. Different organizations will give you different numbers. But if you look at it, just a quick snapshot of what the veteran population looks like. Ages 20 to 99, 21 million. There's 1.5 million ages 20 to 49. A 75-year-old vet, you know, maybe he's not going to get into welding, right? So don't want to discount him, but push those guys aside. So 20 to 49 might be a nice target market. 10 million veterans not in the workforce. Million plus veterans are unemployed. 744,000, according to vetjobs.com, says the number's a little lower. My school's in Ohio. I live in Ohio, so I tried to use that state as a little bit of a model, easier to get data from. 43,000 veterans plus unemployed in Ohio. And then the key thing is students, high school students, that's a very large renewable pool to feed our welding programs, right? It's kind of a cool business. People are going to grow up, they're going to get married, they're going to have kids got to get educated, it's pretty nice. But the veterans are the second largest renewable pool. And it's not just the veteran himself. The benefits extend to the veteran's spouse. The benefits extend to the veteran's children. So it's not just the veteran coming home, it's his immediate family. Ohio's veteran population, and I'll get to some points here. This is just to share with you the numbers. You can see the veteran population in Ohio has declined over the years. It's actually kind of sustained right around 1 million. But the costs that go out to these veterans has actually increased. And I'm not trying to teach you the numbers, I'm just trying to show you the trend, right? So just the state of Ohio in 2009, there's over $4.3 billion available for these veterans. And that's for health insurance, all kinds of different things, right? Now, if you take, what does that mean to us for the GI Bill and those sort of things? What dollars? How is that money divvied up between all the veterans? So if you look at it, this chart that we might be interested in, is this a laser pointer? Sure it is. The education, voc, rehab, you can see how the money is split. Compensation, pensions, medical care, operating expense, insurance, construction, etc. Okay. Total VA expenditure per veteran. I don't know where everybody in this room lives. I just picked out some popular states. Here's the cost that West Virginia spends per veteran. And then I think this is Ohio. And then if you look at the Midwest, where the rankings are. So these are the top 11. And then, so if you live in Texas, you can kind of see where your ranking is. So back to the welding school concept. So they're going to come to school. How do they pay for their education? Well, you guys have heard of the Post GI Bill. Hobart Institute's been accepting veterans since 1954. With the Montgomery GI Bill, now we have the Post-911 Bill. So there's a lot of dollars. The Post-911 GI Bill, it says here, is the largest investment in veterans' education since World War II. Pretty impressive. It provides upfront tuition payments directly to the school, which is important, a monthly living allowance, and a book stipend of $1,000 per year per qualified veteran and their families is the key. All right. So this just started out with an idea. Started with a newspaper article, and I didn't really know anything about any of this. And you just start digging into it, and the process is pretty incredible. $21 billion in GI funds have been distributed to not only the veterans, but their families. Okay. So our model, more of a sales or a business model, we thought, okay, all the veterans active and not active, two categories. Guys that are home already, that don't have a skill, a degree, or a direction. And then the ones that are in Afghanistan, or ones that are in Germany, or the ones that were in Iraq, the ones that are spread across the globe, at some point they are going to make the decision to leave. So we thought, okay, how do we reach them? How do we let them know about the incredible welding industry, that the welding industry has an incredible shortage and a high demand, great wages? How do we let them know that welding is an option? And we thought, we're not going to be selfish. We're not just going to tell them about our school. We want to tell them about other schools. So if somebody doesn't want to come to Hobart Institute from Nebraska, then find a good school that's in Nebraska. Find a good school that's in California. But get into the welding industry first priority. Make this available to everybody. So we thought, all right, we're going to go out. We're going to network. We're going to meet people. We're going to shake hands. We're going to get out. We're not just going to email people. We want to look people in the eye. And then, where do I reach them? not know much about veterans, I thought, my gosh, I've driven past 100 AMVETs, you know, got all the old codgers in there, AMVETs, you know, all those other moose and the elks and these sort of places. And as I walked into some of those, I thought, you know, maybe this isn't really what I'm looking for. Come sit down, young man, or old man now, my kids call me. But veterans need options, and this is why we're doing it. Welding is a fantastic option. The thing about veterans is that they are a great investment, and I think I make that. Hiring a veteran, we tell employers, is not a charity. Got that? Well, hiring a veteran is not a charity. Hiring a veteran is an investment. I can tell you one thing. Since we've started this, and I just did the statistics last week before I came to the show, today in-house, we have 75 veterans enrolled in our school. In the past 2 years, we have graduated about 180 veterans. Job placement with the veterans is 98%. Absolutely incredible. They are a fantastic grab. So if anybody knows any companies that are hiring, veterans are a good way to look. Things with veterans, they got great decision-making skills, analytical thinking, communication, dependable work habits. They're very disciplined. And since I have a school right now with about not quite 300 students enrolled, a lot of my students are young. You take a group of 15 to 20 students that are 18, 19, living on their own for the first time, they're a little rowdy. You put one veteran in that room and the whole class matures. It's been absolutely fantastic for the instructors. Really calms them down. So that's why we went to do it. So we started working at home. Did you know that every county in every state has what they call a CVSO office, which is a veteran service office, county veteran service office. Ohio, for example, has 88 counties, so we have 88 offices. These offices are for veterans that come home. They need to go to their office. They register, and then when they register, they can get anything that help with anything they need. Finances, health care, job searching, anything along them lines. I thought, wow, this is it. This is the golden ticket. We'll just go out and we'll reach all these damn CVSO offices. Fantastic. The issue is not everybody knows, not all the veterans know about these CVSO offices, and not all of them register. A lot of them have good support. They don't necessarily need it. And the guys at these offices, they say, you know, I only know about the veterans if they come to me. So what we did was we communicated with all 88 counties. So our plan was, we're in Miami County where it's circled, that we would go out and visit all the connecting counties to Miami County. And then after we visited those connecting counties, we would go to the counties that have the highest population. So we went and we visited those connecting counties. And then we said, where would the next group? So then we went and we physically visited all the counties along the river border that bordered Kentucky and West Virginia and Pennsylvania. That was quite a task, but it was very educational. When we met with all these county places, they all shared a very similar trendy message. They said, hey, you guys got to get out because there's all different groups. And this is just a small, small sampling of what we've done. There are so many organizations out there that have formed to help veterans. And some of these may know. This top one is RiskVac ISVAC. These are, this is for groups of, Army, Navy. What's the group where they meet on the weekends? National Guard, thank you. That slipped me, thank you. Yeah, this is a group where the families, when National Guard units are deployed, the families have a competency group to make sure the families are safe and secure and they're getting food and health and kids are clothed and those sort of things. These RiskVac, they hold meetings once a month in different regions in each state. So that seemed to prove very beneficial. They partner with Job and Family Services, one-stop centers. This is Vets, Yellow Ribbon Committees, Operation Homefront. This is Iraq and Afghanistan veterans. But all these different groups, we had networked and partnered with them, not for sales pitchy, but just to make the school available for them and their families. But I think the real key is just getting out and meeting them. It's tough to email a handshake, you know. You can't fax a thank you, you know, so you really got to look folks in the eye and say thanks. Getting involved. So just because you meet them and tell them you're there and you leave, and I leave them a catalog about the school, that's not good enough. That is not good enough. You got to get involved, and you got to stay involved with these sort of folks, right? So the mission of the CVSO office was to provide assistance to veterans and their families, and they are a gateway to all contacts. They serve all veterans, young and old. Okay. RISVAC, ISVAC group, National Guard deployment. I guess I shouldn't have got stumped on the word. I should have moved along my slides. National Guard and deployed, money matters, family matters, education, committee collaboration. This is what this group does, this ISVAC and RISVAC. ISVAC means individual, RISVAC means regional. All right. Spousal support, employment, wellness. Okay. TAP, this is really cool. Government's actually suspended this program, which is pretty sad. They're actually revamping it. TAP is the Transition Assistance Program. What we found out, and we've actually participated in several of these, what the TAP program is it's mandatory that if I'm in the military, say I'm in the Air Force, and I've decided to exit, I'm going to leave the military. You have to go through a mandatory workshop that's a week long. Some are a little shorter. But this workshop is to transition you from military life to civilian life. If you think about it, if you're deployed in Afghanistan or Germany or Japan, you're not really up on the times back home about economic trends and jobs and interviews and those sort of things. So this program is to prep you, and you can attend this program whether you're a year out, a month out, but during that time when you agreed to leave, you have to attend this program. So this is a workshop that teaches you what's new and what to do for jobs. Our involvement was to share with them education opportunities, and then we did a lot of interview sessions with them, teaching them how to get through the interview process. They had to create resumes. We sat at a table. I pretended I was an HR rep, and I had the veterans sit across from me, and they all provided resumes, and that was a pretty neat experience. But the thing with that was the guys that attended were all military branches. Some were more career-based, maybe a medical technician, maybe a pilot, that really kind of had it made leaving. But when you talk to those individuals, they didn't know nothing about welding, but maybe it was something for their son or their daughter, right, or their grandchild coming up. But then you would have a pilot, and then you would have an infantryman, right? The pilot guy's pretty set. The infantryman is going, really not sure what to do. I didn't really get a skill, when I was in the military. I learned great soft skills, but I didn't necessarily learn a trade of any sort. And this is where welding really comes as a savior at times. Okay. Social media. The last lady that was up here from Lincoln Electric, she talked about social media, with the kids. These kids are technically connected. A few weeks ago, I opened the bedroom door to tell my daughter, I have a 16-year-old daughter, to tell her goodnight. And she's asleep on bed, and she's got a laptop plugged in on this side, and she's got her iPhone plugged into a charger on this, and she is literally seconds away from communicating with anybody in her network, right? I mean, it's just incredible, just incredible. But employers today are urging people, and even military branches are urging people to get socially connected, because employers are looking at it, right? Spouses are looking at it. They're all looking at these things. So if you get on groups like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, there are a lot of groups to join that are military-friendly driven, right? These are retirees, or these are a network for people coming home, and these sort of things. And being socially networked with different military branches has paid a lot of dividends, Careers. This is something maybe a lot of you know, so I won't elaborate. But the welding industry numbers. This has been a record for a lot of years. Just kind of keeps getting recirculated. The welding industry is in incredible high demand. There is a major, major shortage. The pay is great, and I think that's my computer doing that. And it goes on and on and on. A little bit about the school snapshot on what we've seen. Since January 11, 100 plus veterans. This effort's proven 85, it's actually went up because I just checked it last week. Job placement rate. In the school today, I can tell you, I didn't update this, but I checked last week before I left. In the school today, we have about 85 employers in-house, and I have about 890 open positions we cannot fill. That's just us. I can't think the rest of your schools. So the welding industry is in incredible shape when it comes to employment. The school's job placement rate right now is about 83%, but not everybody's employable, right? Some people are just plain lazy, I think. Some don't want to work or don't have to work. Some just don't have soft skills, I believe. Soft skills are tough, right? You got to be able to show up. Be the best welder in the world. If you don't show up, what good are you? Right. So veterans are populating structural steel 9-month combination programs. All the veterans that we train are AWS QC7 certified when they leave. The point of this slide is we don't do anything special with veterans. We don't treat them any differently. They just fall right in line with the rest of the students. So there is no special training program for a veteran. I think the real key is just making sure that they understand about welding, they understand about the opportunities, show them the opportunities, and let them and their families make what's the best decision for them. All right. Last time there was a question asked about what are you guys special doing? Are they in a separate class? Are they in another class? And the answer is no. We just put them in general population. So, where are the veterans landing? The only thing special on this slide is the word veteran. They're not landing in any particular industries over another. There's no trend. The nice thing about a lot of the veterans, they're actually used to moving around, so their options are more open, right? So if the better job that they like isn't close to family and they want to move to Idaho or Southern California or Texas, they seem to be more open to doing that. They seem to be a little more flexible to wanting to get out. But they're not populating any particular industry. I can't tell you that 80% of our veterans are going to shipyards or aerospace companies or General Electric or something like that. Right? A couple other things we did is we started forming alliances with larger groups that also have veteran initiatives. So this is just a sample of this is just a small sample of 3 that I'm sharing with you. We're in Ohio. We decided to work with OGEEP, which is the, always got to look, Ohio Oil and Gas Energy Education Program. We worked with these guys so close that they decided to create a couple scholarships for students. Doesn't matter if the student's a veteran or a 18-year-old student exiting high school. As you know, there's a lot of activity in western Ohio or eastern Ohio, western Pennsylvania with the Marcellus and Utica shale plays. This organization is appointed by the state that regulates businesses that come into the state to work with oil and gas. So a company coming out of Texas can't just fly over and parachute employees into the state. They have to go through this organization. So we partnered with them to tell them that welding is very popular and very viable, and that's proven to be substantial for the veterans. The UA, everybody's probably pretty familiar with the UA. UA is a group that really steps up for veterans. It's a group that we're certainly thankful for the opportunities they provide, and their effort towards veterans is incredible. So we partnered with them. And then hiring our heroes. This is a little different. This is a locally driven, county driven to offer career fairs or college fairs to veterans coming home. And it's to promote hiring the heroes, not just, it's an event. We did one in northern Kentucky where this half of the hall was employers and this half of the hall was for educators or schools opportunities. So a veteran was able to come in and look at the jobs, and if he didn't have the skill for the job that he would really like, here's the education opportunities that he can do to get educated, and then the connection between the schools and the industry clients was really nice. And we were just bringing people back and forth with each other. But they do these hiring our hero events all over the country. So if you're in a school in Kansas, if you're in a school in Louisiana, Michigan, those places, this would be something that would be nice to get involved in. Okay? This is another alliance example. What I did was I just took one of these relationships we've had, and I just kind of connected it to see how and where we fit. So there's different organizations. There's the Micro Foundation. This is Get Skills to Work. This is driven by Gary Sinise, or Lieutenant Dan, you know, from Forrest Gump. This is where they promote military to manufacturing jobs. And welding is just one segment of that. So what we did was they actually did a roadmap. And this talks about, well, let me make this a little bigger. So this talks about the veterans and existing military are in need of new careers. And this talks about getting your paperwork in line, that they want to get into advanced manufacturing. And then they have some choices, some training needs. So if a veteran really wants to get into CNC machining, or if he wants to get into diesel mechanics or welding, which is our favorite, they want to get into welding, where do they go and who do they network with to get the proper skills to get into advanced manufacturing, which is ultimately the end with the veteran and the employer. So we took their roadmap, we met with them, and we said, okay, how are we going to fit in? There's a couple components to this. There's the veteran coming in, and this is where the school would actually fit in. So they got to get a skill, they got to get trained, and then we got to get them to work. So it takes a couple components with this, with this foundation. It takes an educator, and it takes an employer. So what we did was we looked at where we fit in, and we said, hey, you know, we're doing stuff with AWS. Here's where the school fits in on this map. The school, again, I brought in the UA as an example. UA trains them, interviews them, showcases them, and then puts them to work. And this is just one organization that's out there. There's many that support welding and trades and skill trades. Okay. Any questions so far? I was on a tight timeline, so. Let's see how we're doing. Oh my gosh, we're doing good. This gets to be towards the end of the presentation, but the big thing is if you have an interest in working with veterans, if you have an interest in getting veterans to come to your school, if you know of an employer that's interested in hiring veterans, I think the key is you just got to drive it. You can't just send out an email or a flyer or something along them lines and you expect them to filter to you. It doesn't work that way. It's truly any marketing people in here? No? It's truly a pull marketing approach. And a classic example of a pull marketing is McDonald's, right? Anybody got kids? Right? McDonald's for years marketed kids with toys. Happy Meals, Ronald McDonald, you know, the 6'8" guy with his leg crossed in the restaurant. So they made this image of Ronald and the toys and the Happy Meals, and the kids beg and tug on their parents, right? I want to go to McDonald's, I want to go to McDonald's. So to shut the kid up, parents take them to McDonald's, right? And then what does mom and dad do when they're there? They eat, right? Classic example. So, all right, so this kind of winds this topic down. Does anybody have any questions? Any questions on what you heard or what you saw?